Did you know that 4 of the finalists are from N5? Woo! There must have been something in the water they were drinking. All right, well, this next team has come up with a way for you to save money on buying a luxury watch. I mean, at the end of the day, why not buy a used luxury watch if it could be safe, convenient, and you could trust? Ladies and gentlemen, Chronobsession.
Apparently, time is of the essence, so let us start. My name is Dominic Coyle, and we are Chronobsession, the premium C2C marketplace for pre-owned luxury watches. So where did it all start? It started off here in Switzerland, my first bonus. So I thought I'm going to treat myself for this lovely watch. But it was quite hard to find because it was no longer being produced. Looking offline, online, differentiating between the dodgy offers and the serious ones. Until one day, I saw that advert in Munich for a reseller to buy exactly that watch. So I decided I'd drive all the way up there. I had a look at the watch, wearing it, negotiating the price. I was loving it. In the end, I said, come on, Dominic, let's buy it. And I did so. I was a happy man. And 4 weeks later, this happens. My biggest nightmare. The watch was broken. The winding didn't work. I had to bring it to a service center, pay 1,200 euro to get it repaired, wait 8 weeks to get it back. In the end of the day, it was an absolute nightmare. And then you do ask yourself, what is that guarantee of that reseller really worth? And this is just one of the examples which buyers have, respectively, the problems which buyers have in the C2C market, respectively, in the pre-owned luxury watch market. But the biggest problem is really the problem of trust, lack of trust. Trust because of fear. Fear because of all the millions of replicas watches trying to be sold as real watches out there. Those watches which don't have papers, or those ones which are even stolen. But even worse, those ones which are advertised in mint conditions. But when you look at them, they hardly work. And there's just one side of the marketplace which has problems. The other side, it's the sellers. The seller has the problem of being limited in their choice where they can sell. Often you can only go to small resellers selling your watch and he's going to buy it on the expense of your margin. Because often you don't know what your watch is really worth. So you go into the negotiations, which is absolutely bound to fail. And all this is happening in an absolutely massive market. 22 billion euro worth of watches being exported out of Switzerland last year. But more importantly, a whopping 12 billion euros worth of pre-owned luxury watches being traded last year, making an absolutely huge market. So James, explain to the audience, how's our competition dealing with this today?
Thank you, Dominic. As you mentioned, the market is huge, but it's highly fragmented. The largest player has a 5% market share, and the next 10 largest have a combined 10%, meaning 85% of the pre-owned luxury watch market has to purchase watches the way Dominic did. On top of this, our competitors focus on a B2B and B2C business model, which leaves a majority of the profit and majority of the power with these local dealers. But what's worse is that nobody provides a truly independent inspection of the watches being sold. Frankly, consumers on both ends of this transaction are being ripped off. We would like to move this market towards a C2C model by providing a level of trust and transparency that allows it to do so. The way it works is relatively simple. Roger decides to sell his watch, so he uploads it to our platform from the comfort of his own home. When one of the many buyers chooses that watch, money is placed into a secure escrow account which Roger can see. He then feels comfortable shipping the watch, fully insured, to our independent watchmaker, who checks condition, functionality, authenticity of that watch. If everything checks out, the watch is sent to the buyer, along with a certificate of the inspection and a 1-year warranty. At the same time, money is released from escrow to the seller. The buyer is happy because they've received exactly what they paid for. The seller is happy because they have kept a larger portion of their watch's value. Our revenue is commission-based. We take approximately 10% of the watch's value and keep roughly half of that as gross profit. Our buyer and seller profiles are actually quite similar. To acquire buyers, we plan to employ search engine optimization and a social media strategy. To acquire the sellers, we'll take more of a physical presence. We will initially target Germany, the UK, and Switzerland, given the popularity of the luxury watch market in those countries, as well as our team's native language skills. Our customer acquisition cost of 180 euros in year one will decrease every year thereafter. This allows us to just about break even by the end of year 2. But one of the surprising things about our ability to scale is the simplicity of the checks themselves. A watchmaker can perform this in under 30 minutes, and our current partner can handle 1,500 watches a year with no trouble. But we will also be adding one independent watchmaker from every country where we do business. The next step for us is a fully functional test phase. We have a website developed and partners lined up to do so. The watches will be inspected by a well-renowned independent watchmaker called Casa del Reloj, just outside Madrid. Shipping and insurance will be handled through FedEx and Parcel Pro. And escrow will be provided by a company called Mango Pay. This is our team. We're very passionate about this industry. We each have a story about finding our perfect watch. We truly believe that this industry is broken, and if we don't fix it, somebody else will. Welcome to Chronobsession. Any questions?
Any watches?
Is it an auction site or is
It is not exactly an auction site. The seller chooses what price they would like to upload their watch at, and then if a buyer, they can negotiate a little bit back and forth, but it's not really an auction.
So what would be the average price and then your commission and then the shipping and then on top of that? I mean, what would be, how would that work?
Let me go back a little bit here. So we used, for this example, a 10,000 euro watch. The average would range between a low of 3 and a high of 20, but most will be in the 5 to 10 range. Our commission on a 10,000 euro watch would be 10%. And then shipping, we have one international leg, one domestic leg, some VAT and the escrow fee, but we do keep about 480 of that to pay for our expenses out of that 1,000 in revenue. Any other questions?
How do you work out your customer acquisition costs?
So the customer acquisition cost, we took benchmarks in the end of the day. The customer acquisition cost we can only really 100% know once we started testing the different kind of acquisition medias we're actually planning. So quite honestly, we took the average to the industry standards for these kind of acquisitions. So what we did is we went to the competitors, spoke to them, kind of had a benchmark from them, 5 competitors roughly. So this is today the customer acquisition cost of a company which is already established on the market, which is below 70 euros. As we need to take care of both sides of the market, so buyers and sellers, our acquisition cost is rather high in the beginning because we also need to acquire the content.
What's the division of the task?
So the vision, in between us, me and Joe, myself, we take care of sales and marketing side. Lance takes care of the finance, and James is the operation.
Logistics and operations, yes.
So, can I list my watch across all the platforms simultaneously?
You could, yes.
Yes, you could.
Most of them, some, only a few of them are only B2B, but you could go out and list it across multiple platforms.
Got it. Okay, so I think I can't tell if I'm having a hard time even formulating my own question here because I'm just thinking, if I was a seller, it's in my best interest to list across all the platform, and if I'm you guys, I know that's coming, and I just need to make sure that I'm spending the majority of my time figuring out how to sell the damn thing, right? Because you won't make any money unless it actually does.
It does have
move.
to sell through our platform, yes.
And so, how do you drive those transactions? I mean, because it sounds like so you're a typical marketplace, right? So you're going to have to do all the marketing on the demands on the supply side to go get the watches to get people to list them there. But then you have to repeat all of that work on the demand side to make sure people actually see the watch and buy it. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? So you talked about, for example, I guess where I'm going with this, you talked about customer acquisition cost, but it feels like it's only one side of the equation.
No, it's actually both sides, and the customer acquisition cost includes both costs to actually get the buyers and as well as the sellers. The big difference, however, in the acquisition is actually that when getting the seller, we really have to take a more of a manual acquisition approach. So meaning telesales, direct sales, and calling these people up. Where actually on the buyer side is more of a technology acquisition.
In the current market, most of the sales that are happening online even are from a dealer to an end buyer, but you're going to your local shop to trade in your watch. We need to steal those people. That's why it's manual.
Got it. Okay, thanks.